Welcome to Nerd on Nerd with me, Jack Kempster.
And me, Liam Underwood. And in this episode, we have a very special guest, Amanda Iman.
Hello.
Hey!
Did I say it right? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did. It's
perfect.
Shocking that you guys are some of the only people that have ever pronounced my last name correctly.
Why is that? How do people usually pronounce it?
Iman, as in, like, David Bowie's widow.
Ah.
Oh. See, I thought it was like an Apple thing. You know, like the iPod and stuff.
Yeah, that's how I have to tell people that it's, Iman,
when it
like
comes
iPhone.
to words, I'm very much sort of say what you see with words, so I just pronounce them the way they're spelled.
I appreciate it, because I've had family members who can't say it.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, impressive's the wrong word.
I was impressed that you guys could say my name correctly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're just heroes.
And in this episode, Amanda, what did you suggest we do?
I suggested the graphic novel Ghost World, and for extra credit, the movie based on the graphic novel.
And all the hosts of Nerd on Nerd totally understood the rules and definitely didn't think that the bonus was the graphic novel.
Oh.
But I did do both, so it's fine.
Okay. Sorry, Jack.
No. I don't think you need to say sorry.
No, because when we were discussing it at the end of the last episode, Jack, we did say that the film was the bonus there as well. I listened back to make sure.
It did say that.
I know. I'm just useless.
It's okay. It just shows that half of the Nerd on Nerd team is switched on and alert, and that's why they're the people's favourite, and then the other half is Jack.
Yay.
Oh, poor Jack.
So, guys, what have you been up to?
Yeah. Well, no. Introduce it right.
Now it's time for Liam's favourite part of the show, catching up with... Now it's time for the bit of the show where we catch up? How do we usually introduce it?
Now it's time for my favourite part of the show, catching up with Jack, and Liam, and Amanda.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, but you saying it wrong. So how's it all going? What you guys been up to this week?
Nothing.
Thanks, Jack. Amanda?
I started back to school for my last semester of college.
Oh, yes. I wanted to discuss this because I saw that you've had some interesting films to watch.
Uh-huh.
How did that go?
So last week was just, first week of class, a lot of introductory things. I'm taking 2 film classes, and the first film I had to watch, which I watched last night, was The Exorcist. And I can't do horror movies.
Oh.
The Exorcist it's so good it transcends the horror genre.
Oh, it scared me so much.
Right?
I didn't find The Exorcist that scary, but then...
Oh, I hate people like you, where they're like, oh, it's not scary anymore because it's dated and it's just funny. I'm just going to watch it and laugh at it. No.
That's not what I said at all.
I extrapolated.
Yeah, a lot. I don't know. I think I'm not as affected by demons. I'm terrified of ghost children. If she was a ghost, I couldn't have watched that film.
Well, that's next week I have to watch a ghost film.
Oh, see, I'd be done. I'd leave the class, Amanda.
My mom told me to say fuck you to my professor and leave. I was like, well...
I feel like that's pretty good advice, to be fair.
I mean, I will say, I told the professor that watching horror films gives me panic attacks. And she was like, well, I guess you could just do the readings. And I was like, look, I'll try to watch with my husband. He's like my safety blanket for scary movies. And so I watched with him and tried to look at Twitter occasionally so I wasn't fully focusing on how completely terrified I was.
Did that work?
It kind of worked. I will admit I felt like I was having a panic attack for at least 2 hours after I finished the movie.
That's not good.
No. And my heart was racing and my stomach felt sick.
Yeah, that's really bad.
See, I remember I had a sleepover once when I was younger, and I was still quite new to the horror genre. And looking back, it was a terrible film, but it was Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows, which is absolutely awful. But there's a scene in it where there's this weird ghost woman, and the way it's edited is she's moving all jerky and stuff. And it really freaks me out. So I just got my old Nokia brick phone out and just played Snake. And then, like, because obviously I had friends around, so I didn't want them to think I was being lame. I was just like, oh no, this film's just really boring. It's not scary at all. I'm just going to play Snake, 'cause that's much better. But, like, it really got to me.
See, I was the kid at sleepovers that would just, like, start to cry if a scary movie was on, and then they'd be like, whatever, Amanda, we're still watching it. And then they'd all fall asleep, and I'd be the one up, terrified, not able to sleep, and trying to read Harry Potter to comfort myself. That is a true story from an 8th grade sleepover.
That's fair enough.
So, what did you think of The Exorcist? Now you've kind of witnessed its cinematic glory.
Like, the parts that I could look at without just having abject terror. I mean, some of the iconic scenes I had seen before, because I'm really into film and film history and everything. So, like, the scene where Max von Sydow's character is, like, bathed in shadow and walking up to the door. Like, you see that in film compilation clips all the time. So, I mean, I understand that it is a well-made film, but I just had such a hard time watching it that I don't even know how I'm going to talk about it in class tomorrow, like, from an academic standpoint.
So what's the like the topic that you'll have to discuss it about?
Well, we were just supposed to watch it. So the film is called Body, or the film course, the theme is body genres. So it's supposed to be genres that, like, have you have, like, a bodily reaction, essentially. And the main 3 genres within that are horror, melodrama, and porn. And
that sounds like my sort of course.
We will not be watching porn in the class, but we are watching, like, romances and stuff. Like Brokeback Mountain, we're going to watch in a few weeks.
So here's Liam's little tip to get around that, right? Is basically insist that you need to watch a lot of porn as research for your essays.
I don't think Amanda's trying to watch porn, Liam.
I'm sure my husband would enjoy
Why not?
that, but...
No, I tried to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show with Kat, and I mean, original songs, so that's a plus. Good set design and costumes, but she didn't really like it, and I think making popcorn was a mistake.
Jesus, Liam.
Like the original version of Rocky Horror Picture Show with Tim Curry?
No, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, horror, not horror.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a very different film.
Oh, poor cat.
I mean, okay, not that differently, but a lot more graphic sex, I guess.
How 11 minutes in has it already degenerated into this, Liam?
Amanda brought up porn.
It's my fault. It is. It's my class. I'm sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
I don't think you can take the blame for this one, Amanda. It's Liam. I'm blaming Liam.
Also, if you want to combine sort of these body genres, the human sexipede, that ticks off a couple there.
Oh, God.
I understand, Liam, when you were doing this for your dissertation, which still amazes me that you managed to do a dissertation about sex stuff. But
wait, seriously?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. For
what
my
have you got, Liam? You've got a master's, and your entire master's dissertation was
my thesis
porn.
was my thesis was sex in the horror film, looking at how it cycled throughout the decades, starting with the 70s and looking at rape and revenge, then going to the 80s and slashers, and then skipping the 90s because that was just recycling the 80s basically, and then looking at the noughties at torture porn, and then kind of pontificating on, well, where do we go from here, and looking at porn parodies of horror films.
Yeah, you would love this class.
Yeah, I really would.
Probably. I should, like, send
Texas
you my...
Vibrator Massacre. Honestly, it's one of the worst porn films I've seen. In that, so I'm going to assume quite safely, I think, that you haven't seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No,
but the way
not.
the way it's shot is quite this like low budget, grimy kind of feel to it, which they've replicated perfectly for the porn in a way that makes porn super not hot.
Oh, isn't that like the antithesis of what you want porn to be?
Yeah, it's also quite confusing. Like, again, I think this would play in very nicely to your like bodily reactions things when you're watching a pornographic scene, and let's just say hypothetically that it's a scene where a woman is getting pleasured by a mechanical vibrator, okay? And then let's say, oh, okay, that's not too bad because it's porn. That's lovely. But then the kind
I don't know if it's lovely.
The killer, if you
carry
will.
on.
The killer, if you will, Jack. Let's say he turns up this mechanical vibrator to the point where suddenly, oh no, now there's lots of blood involved.
Oh,
I don't
Jesus.
know what sort of... Right, yeah.
Oh.
That's not what you want from porn, and it has very confusing bodily reactions.
Oh,
You
God.
shouldn't watch these things, Liam.
Makes your willy go down really fast.
I don't want to know.
I shouldn't,
Oh.
but I feel like perfect fodder for your course. So
Yeah.
if you want any recommendations, happy to help.
I'll see if my professor needs some recommendations for later on in the course.
Yeah, just say this is what you could have been, Professor. This is what could have happened to you. You're so lucky that you've ended up normal.
Yeah, she's a mother of two, so yeah.
I mean, so what's the next horror film?
I have to watch Babadook next week.
I wasn't a big fan of that.
That's what I keep hearing from friends who are fans of horror.
Yeah, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna hate it. I grew up in a haunted house, so I have a really hard time with ghost things. And even the professor was like, "Oh, you might not handle the Babadook well." But great, fun time.
Yeah, that sounds not great.
No, it's only the first 2 weeks, like 2 movies that we're watching in this class, and then the rest go to things that I can handle. Like even like
Such as?
war movies, like first it's going into like melodrama, All That Heaven Allows, Far From Heaven. Then I know we're doing, I said Brokeback Mountain, Full Metal Jacket, Jarhead, which I've seen most of those and I'm fine. We're watching Django Unchained and 12 Years a Slave, which 12 Years a Slave is hard to watch, but it doesn't terrify me to the point that I can't like breathe.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I've been watching a new TV show lately.
Oh, yeah?
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Have either of you seen it?
No.
No.
I've heard good things.
What's it on? Is it a new...
Yeah, it's alright. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
There's 2 seasons on there at the moment, and I saw on Twitter it got renewed for a 3rd season. I think it's a CBS show, but I might be wrong.
It is. In the US, it's on the CW, which is owned
CW, that's right.
by Warner Brothers and CBS. It's where they put like
Cool.
the teen
Okay.
shows.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the superhero stuff's on there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like Supergirl started on CBS here in the US, and then they moved it to the CW to go along with like The Flash and Arrow and all of those.
Yeah. This is kind of like following the La La Land hype. This is also a musical. The songs, there's a couple of good ones, but like, I'm only like 12 episodes in, and there's nothing really stand out amazing. The main girl in it is nice to look at. Talented too, which helps. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it, but I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it.
No.
But that's just what I've been up to, kind of watching a lot of that.
Is that
And,
it? That's, you've been watching...
Of course. Well, okay, no, so there is one other thing that I guess we need to talk about, don't we, Jack?
Go on. Do we?
Yeah, what happened to me the other night, which was quite distressing.
What?
So let me explain.
I don't know.
Let me describe my idyllic Saturday to you, where I had a nice day with Kat. We went to the cinema. We went to see La La Land for the 2nd time. We'll get to that soon. Don't worry, listeners. And then we went out for a lovely lunch meal at an Italian restaurant.
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where I had calamari for starters and like loads of sea salt bread, I think it is. Like rosemary and sea salt bread. That sounds about right in my head. With vinegar and oil and stuff. Oh, it's lovely. Absolutely lovely. And then like I finished my starter and was like, I'm really full. I regret ordering a main. But I'd ordered gigantic meatballs as a main. So I ate like a good 3/4 of that. And then I came home, had a little nap because I was all tuckered out from my big day. And woke up thought, oh, it's like dinnerish time, I should eat, but probably shouldn't eat a lot. So I had peanut butter on toast, and then I had some sweets, and I had a Diet Coke, and I had a trifle. And then I tried to watch Friday the 13th Part 4, felt very not good, and went to the toilet, and I think what had happened is that I'd eaten so much that day, I then vomited.
So you overate to the point of vomiting.
Yep, which I didn't know was actually a thing that could actually happen to full-grown men, adults.
It is.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've had it happen. I'm not a full-grown man. I'm a woman, but, you know.
So, okay, so it's not just me that this has happened to then. That makes me feel better.
No, there have been times, like, for Thanksgiving in particular, where I've had to learn to pace myself between the multiple Thanksgiving dinners that we have within a day or two without feeling incredibly ill.
See, but that seems reasonable to me, because that's, like, if it's a holiday meal, and there's loads out anyway, and everyone's eating loads, I can see how someone could eat so much that they'd be sick. I know one other person that's done it, and they did it on a Christmas meal. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Liam has done it in a way that doesn't make sense to me, because he had a meal, and then left a massive gap, and then decided to eat.
Yeah.
Like, surely your body was like, no, we're full.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Have you heard, I can't remember that's who sings it, but there's that song where it's like, I don't even remember how it goes, where he's talking about his body saying one thing, but his mind saying another. What song
I think it's my mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yes.
Yeah, that's the song. Who sings that?
I can't remember.
No clue.
So basically what happened to me was it was like that, but switched around, where my mind was saying yeah, but my body was saying no, and I just listened to my mind instead.
Right.
But was part of your body, like, clearly your taste buds were like, oh, I need more of this, but your stomach was not having it?
No, I think it was more I just felt like I should be eating. Like, I felt like, this is what I should be doing. Like, it's sort of dinner time now, so I should have something to eat.
That's insane.
It wasn't fun, I'm going to be honest, but, like, I felt really bad, like, after the nap, and then sort of, I was, okay, here might have been another thing. I woke up feeling not too good. Maybe I was like, oh, maybe I'm not good because I haven't eaten for a while.
That's bad, Liam. That's bad.
I think that's the opposite of what you should do when you don't feel well.
Yeah. Oh, I feel sick. Let me just eat a trifle.
No, but to be fair, like, I kept the food, like, okay, if we take the trifle and the sweets out of the equation, like, toast is like very much what you eat when you're ill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you just had the toast and then were ill, I'd have been a lot more sympathetic. But you ate a trifle and sweets.
Yeah. I got confused, basically, I think is what
Whatever.
happened.
You're not going to learn from the experience, Liam. I've learned this about you. Nothing's going to change.
No.
You're just going to carry on doing this.
Also, okay, we can't rule out the fact that, like, calamari is fish, and maybe so there's something wrong with the fish. Because fish is easy to do wrong.
I knew you would do this. I knew you would twist it so that it wasn't the obvious thing. You think it's the fish. Like that time you ate a Pizza Hut pizza and were convinced that the meat was weird.
Yeah, the 3-poo pizza.
Yeah.
That was 100% the meat, because I hadn't eaten anything else.
Pizza Hut pizza can make you ill.
It can, Amanda, but he was ill. Was it 30 minutes after you'd eaten it, Liam?
Yeah, it went right
That's
through
not
me
enough time
3
for your
times.
body to process it. That's not.
I don't know how my body works, Jack. I'm not a biologist.
Fair enough.
I try to not question what my body does. I just let it do its thing, and I just roll with it.
Sure. Oh, Liam.
So we all went to the cinema this week, not together, because Amanda lives in America, and we live in the UK, for anyone that wasn't aware.
In case you couldn't tell
now
by
it's time.
our different accents.
Yeah, now it's time for... I'm going to have to rename it on the fly. Let's all go to the cinema and do a spoiler-free review of the thing that we saw at the cinema. Nailed it.
Very good, Liam.
Excellent.
Thank you. So, we all saw La La Land. Who wants to go first?
One of you guys can? I don't know what I'm going to say about it.
I don't.
Let our guest go first.
Okay, I just saw La La Land a few days ago. I really enjoyed it. I definitely feel like it has a good mix between a throwback yet a modernization of the classic Hollywood musical, and the acting is excellent.
It really is so good. Jack, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Jack.
I thought this film was incredible, and I have listened to the soundtrack non-stop since I saw the film.
Yeah, I can't stop singing the songs.
Yeah, they're really good songs.
What is your favourite song from it?
It might be someone in the crowd.
Okay.
It was City of Stars, but I've fallen in love with Someone in the Crowd.
How about you, Amanda?
I really like the audition song.
That is good. My favourite one is, I don't know if this is the actual title of the song, but What a Waste of a Lovely Night.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possibly one of my favourite scenes. For anyone who's listening who isn't aware, because somehow you've missed all the hype of La La Land, somehow, it's about an actress who's, well, not an actress, like someone who wants to be an actress, who currently is working as a barista. It's set in LA, and she meets a jazz musician. And to kind of summarise what it's all about without really giving spoilers away, it's kind of about chasing your dreams and compromise. Directed by Damien Chazelle, who also directed Whiplash. So if you saw that, you'll kind of get an idea after this that Damien Chazelle really wants you to like jazz. I think that's really important to him.
Yeah. Do you know the background of him making this movie after Whiplash?
I do not.
No?
This was the movie he wanted to make, La La Land. And he couldn't quite get the funding and stuff. So he was like, well, I'll make Whiplash so that I'm able to make La La Land.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then, Whiplash got nominated for an Oscar, and J.K. Simmons won for Best Supporting Actor in that movie. And then here we are with La La Land, which is a huge factor in the award season mix.
Yeah, definitely. And also, one, J.K. Simmons is amazing in Whiplash, and I love that he gets a little tiny role in this.
Mm-hmm.
This also, I believe, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, set the record for winning the most Golden Globes recently.
Yes, it beat out One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and another movie from the 70s that I can't remember off the top of my head. But 6 was the previous record, and 7 is now the new record with La La Land.
Which is just
impressive.
kind of impressive, yeah, on its own. It's such a good film. I can't emphasise enough how good it is.
Yeah, I think people should go and see it. Although, because I went and saw it with Dan Palmer, and he said literally, as we were sitting waiting to go into the film, he went, "I don't like musicals." So I was like,
That's a good
right.
start.
Yeah, I was like, well, this is a musical, Dan. And he was like, yeah, I know. And then I was like, well, what don't you like about them? Because, maybe it'll be that you like this one. And he was like, I hate when they're cheesy. And we sat down, and the opening song, the opening scene is that sort of, it's not cheesy, but it's, that sort of, it's cheesy.
It's
almost
goddamn
like
delightful.
stereotypically.
It's great. I love it. But I did look
Yeah.
over and I was like, is Dan going to hate this film? But he came out and said he really enjoyed it. So, maybe everyone should go and see it.
I think they should. The other thing, I think it really, because I've seen it twice now, and it definitely is the sort of film that is very easy to watch again.
Fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to see it again. I've had
You should.
friends here who have seen it multiple times. And, from that opening scene, I just had a smile on my face. I was so excited.
Oh, yeah, I was the same. I was like, oh my God, I love this film.
Have we mentioned who's in it, apart from J.K. Simmons?
No, Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are the leads. And beyond that, everybody else is barely in the film for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they are very much the focus.
It's their kind of show. I feel like a lot of people are talking about how good Emma Stone is in it, which is rightfully so, because she is amazing. But I feel like Ryan Gosling's almost getting a little bit overlooked because of how good she is. And he does bring a lot of kind of dry humour to this film. Like, his comedic timing is amazing. There's bits where I found myself just pretty much being the only person in the theatre laughing. I don't know if that says something about me, though.
Easy to please?
Maybe. I was just having such a good time until like it ripped my heart out and stomped all over it. But apart from that bit, it's all amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ryan Gosling is really, really great in this film. And I think he's getting overshadowed in the award season talk by Casey Affleck and Manchester by the Sea. But, it's hard to compare those two performances. They're so different. And there's
That's true.
something about Ryan Gosling in La La Land that Yeah, like you said, the character has a right sense of humor, but there's also this sense of charm about him that is just endearing, and like the way that his character is passionate about jazz.
Yeah.
Super passionate.
Yeah. But it makes you like him more because of that passion.
Yeah. Also, it's like so impressive that he learned a lot of the music for this, so it's actually him playing it. It's not like a double or anything being used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Wasn't that what the guy in Whiplash did as well? Like, I can't remember the actor's name, but
Miles Teller.
He learned loads of the drum stuff as well.
Yeah. Did you know, fun fact, that La La Land was originally going to star Miles Teller and Emma Watson?
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah. Emma Watson then signed on to do Beauty and the Beast, so dropped out. And apparently Miles Teller had like creative differences or something.
He wanted to be the drummer.
But like, that would have been such a different film that I'm kind of pleased that this is how the chips fell. Because
seeing it with these two,
same.
I wouldn't want to see it with other people, I don't think.
Yeah. So what would we give it all out of 5?
I think it's a solid 4.5 from me.
Okay.
I have to think, because I do ratings differently on my podcast.
Sorry.
Amanda, we do ratings differently here from each other.
Oh, I've heard. I love it. So I think I'm around probably a 4.5 out of 5 on your sort of sliding grading scale.
On one of our scales, depending on which mood anyone's in and whether that scale has changed since the last time a host read it out.
Yeah. And I'm also 4.5, and the only reason why it's lost that 0.5 is because there's like a noticeable kind of stretch towards the end of the second act where there's not a musical number, and it feels like there should be one. I don't want to give anything away, but it feels like there's an opportunity for a musical number there that I really wanted to see but didn't. And you just notice that, like, you get to a point in the film where you're like, oh, it's been a while since we've had any musical songs.
Yeah. I had a slight special effects issue, but again, that would give too much away, which is why it's not a full-on 5 out of 5 for me.
Oh, see, I gave it 4.5 because I didn't want to give it 5 because I thought you might ask me why it was a 5, and I didn't know.
No, but that's fine. If in your gut it's a 5, that's I can't judge you.
No, it's a 4.5.
Well, there we go then. We all agree. What a wonderful coincidence.
Has that ever happened?
What a pleasant surprise. We've agreed occasionally, Amanda. It's just rare.
Yeah.
Really rare.
Really rare. But that's how good La La Land is. That someone from as different walks of life as me and Jack can come together and agree.
Oh yeah, we're so different.
Yeah. I also saw another film at the cinema this week, which Amanda briefly mentioned earlier, Manchester by the Sea.
Yes, I really loved that movie.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good, but okay. So I thought Casey Affleck was amazing in it, and I get why he's getting all of the kind of acclaim he's getting for his acting, because I've loved Casey Affleck since he played, I believe the character was titled Young Kid in Kevin Smith's Chasing Amy, and it's been kind of fun just watching his career progress throughout the years. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Drowning Mona?
I have not.
That's one with him, Danny DeVito, Nev Campbell, Bette Midler, but it's an indie film, but I love it, and that's the first time I saw him and fell in love with Casey Affleck.
I would definitely need to check that out, because he's just so good. Like, last year, there was a week where we had 2 films come out, 999, and I think it's called something like The Finest Hours, something along those lines.
Is that the Coast Guard movie?
And they both had Casey Affleck in it. And at the time, I remember sort of saying, it's so nice seeing Casey Affleck this much in the cinema. But both of those were kind of like minor side roles. So it's so good that he gets to kind of really dig into this character in Manchester by the Sea and just does it so good. I was expecting the film to really impact me emotionally before I went to see it, and was surprised that it didn't hit me harder. And I don't really know why that is.
It's because you're a robot, Liam.
Yeah, possibly. To kind of talk about the plot without going into spoilers, it's basically a kind of, something bad has happened, and the way the narrative is presented, you kind of flash back and forward, and you see this like happier time, and then you see the current day, and you know something has happened to change all that, but you're never quite sure what until probably about the midway point of the film. And I feel like when you find out what that thing is, it's meant to be like really soul destroying, and it didn't have that weight to it for me. But it's still, you know, is a good film. It's worth seeing. I just don't know if I'd say it's worth like a cinema trip to see it.
Interesting.
Also, I was bothered a little bit. Like, I like Michelle Williams. I'm a big fan of Dawson's Creek, so she's like my home girl. But I felt like she was struggling with the accent a bit.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, she's not in the film a ton.
No.
But has a very emotional impact in the parts where she is in the film. I think she's going to get an Oscar nomination. She's not going to win because that'll be Viola Davis, but I have seen her in other roles that I liked her more in.
Yeah, was she in, is it called Blue Valentine?
Yes. I have not watched that yet.
Yeah, that's another Ryan Gosling film, and she's very good in that with him. Mm-hmm. But I sometimes get her a little bit mixed up with Carey Mulligan, especially from that era, because like Carey Mulligan in Drive, I get confused with Michelle Williams from like Blue Valentine.
Yeah.
You know when people like hear scientists and engineers talking and they say stuff and you don't really know what they're saying? I'm experiencing that right now. I don't know any of these actors.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're not good with actor names, are you?
No, I'm terrible. What do I know? I know who Casey Affleck is.
Yep, well done.
That was as far as I got.
Michelle Williams. Did you ever see Brokeback Mountain?
No.
No. Well, because she was in that with Heath Ledger, and she was romantically involved with him for a while. They had a daughter together.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Dawson's Creek?
No.
Shutter Island?
Oh, I saw Shutter Island.
She's in that, mate.
She's
cool.
The wife.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Which is interesting because she's got a Boston accent in that movie too.
I tried to watch it, and I got 10 minutes into it, fell asleep, and then woke up to see like the big twist revealed, and just haven't bothered watching it since. Yeah, it's really annoying.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I went back and rewatched Shutter Island. You should definitely try it again, Liam, because even knowing the twist is still because the twist.
To be fair, I was trying to give it long enough that I'd forgotten the twist, and I think I have now.
Okay.
So yeah, I should give it another go.
The whole film, even when you know the twist, do you really know the twist? It's like the whole film is like that.
Okay. Oh, she's also in Halloween H2O.
Haven't seen that one.
Well, you're missing out, mate. Yeah, so Manchester by the Sea for me would have been like 3.5 out of 5. But Amanda, if you kind of want to weigh in and give like an alternative opinion, feel free.
I really, really liked Manchester by the Sea. I know, Liam, you and I kind of chatted back and forth a little bit about it on Twitter, but it completely devastated me. Like, I cried for most of the movie. But I liked that there were some spots of humor. So there was some levity here or there. And it's part of one of the things that I like in like Hitchcock films and how it can be this tension, but then every now and then there's just this little like moment of levity to break that. Spotlight did that last year as well. And because of like some personal things in my life, the movie really, really hit me like a gut punch. And to me, it's one of the best films from 2016 that I saw, even though I saw it in 2017. But I think I would give it a 5 out of 5.
Oh, wow. So that ranks higher than La La Land for you.
Yeah. Out of like the three big, I don't know, I think the three big movies that are getting a lot of talk around award season, La La Land, Moonlight, and Manchester by the Sea, they're all like really, really close for me. But Manchester by the Sea is just slightly above the other two. I mean, very slightly. I loved La La Land, loved Moonlight, but I really, really, there was just something that I personally identified with in Manchester by the Sea.
Okay, one thing I would like to say about Manchester by the Sea is I didn't know Carl Chandler was in it. I fucking love that guy. He just steals every scene he's in. Yeah.
Oh, and Lucas Hedges, the one who plays Casey Affleck's nephew, he is really good in the film. And is just a bizarre teenager to me because I was so not cool in high school and I don't understand the concept of like having two girlfriends, which is not a spoiler because that's in the trailer, but like...
Yeah, well, the thing about him is I kind of found him like... I don't know if I was supposed to. I feel like I was, but I found him a little bit annoying in that way that like teenagers kind of inevitably are, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But he was just very much like... I don't know. I don't want to say too much because it's going to make me sound really insensitive considering what he goes through. But like, I just found it really like self-centered.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's... I guess to me, what also felt true is when my brother was that age, we had a death in the family, and I can remember he was just like one time like, you should buy me cigarettes. It was like, wait, I thought we were just discussing the death of our grandmother. He's like, yeah, but I need cigarettes. Like,
oh, okay.
So like, watching Lucas Hedges' performance, I was like, oh yeah, this is how teenagers act when they're grieving.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Jack, has hearing these two opinions made you want to see it?
Well, I'm scared that if I go and see it, I'll cry.
You will.
You probably will.
Yeah, I get emotional at films. And I also don't know if I know anyone that will want to go and see it with me. So I might wait for it to come out on DVD, but I will give it a watch. So I've got a new part of the show that I'm going to do, listeners, because I don't go to the cinema enough, so I don't have a lot to talk about in the cinema bit. But what I do is read a lot. Very good, Liam. Yep, do. Said that by accident. I read too much. So I'm going to do... Jack went to places, and on the way to those places, he read books. And the books that he read this week are... Leave a little pause.
What, for dramatic tension?
Yep. I read a series of books, Liam and Amanda, called... It was a 4-part series called The Hyperion Cantos and The Endymion Cantos, I believe. Which sound... complicated, and they are, and I love them, and they're great. So if anyone out there likes sci-fi and AIs and poetry is in the book as quite a heavy theme for some reason, but if you like any of that stuff, read them because they're fucking incredible, and I cried on the toilet when I finished it.
Yeah. Out of 5?
Like 5 out of 5.
All 4 books?
No. I don't want to do it. The 4th one is a 5 out of 5. The 3rd one is a 5 out of 5. The first one is a 4, and the second one is a 4.5.
Alright, so it starts good, but then gets better.
Yeah, the first book has this really long, like, opening bit. Like, half the book I was not struggling to read, but I was like, I don't get why this is top of the list that I'd read of books I should read.
Okay.
And then the further I got, I was like, oh, that's why, because it's fucking incredible.
Do you think someone like me would
No.
like it? Cool.
You hate sci-fi.
No, I don't hate sci-fi.
Yep, you hate sci-fi.
I just hate most of the sci-fi that you happen to like.
Whatever.
I mean, Alien is a sci-fi.
Yeah, Alien's great.
Yeah, I love Alien.
Yeah, there we go then.
You made me watch Event Horizon, and I liked that.
Yeah, that's a good film.
So I take umbrage at you saying I hate sci-fi.
I'm sorry, Liam. This isn't a horror sci-fi book, so you wouldn't
I'm
like
not
it.
interested. Is any other books, or is that it?
No, those are the 4 that I've read. It's, you know, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back through it just because it's the first time I'm doing the segment. I can't go back through my history of books.
Okay, Amanda, did you read any books?
Other than Ghost World, not this week. Though I'm in a
Okay.
book club, I just haven't read my book for the month yet.
Fair. I honestly haven't read like a proper book in about 2 years now, which I do feel bad about, but there's reasons behind it that we don't need to go into.
Is it that you can't read?
It's that I used to read in the bath, and then I lived somewhere for ages where I didn't have a bath, and now I do have a bath, but it's shit, so I don't use it. So I haven't read.
I have so many issues with that, but I'm not going to go into them, Liam.
Housekeeping!
I'm just so confused how you can't read anywhere but in the bath.
It's just what I got used to. Like, I liked it. It used to be like I'd be working from home, but I'll have a lunch break, run a bath, read a chapter of my book. Lovely. But then, like, it got to the stage where reading out of the bath just felt wrong. Because it's one of those things where I think it was the only time where there wasn't something else that I would rather be doing. Like, if I'm not in the bath, instead of reading, I might choose to, like, watch a film or a TV show or play a game. But in the bath, what else am I going to do? Housekeeping?
Yes, Liam. Who has been in contact with us these last 2 weeks?
People have been in contact. Amanda tweeted us.
What? This is a surprise.
I mean, and this just goes to show, right? If you tweet us enough, maybe you could get on the show as well.
I don't think that's why we got Amanda on. I don't think we're like, oh, Amanda won't stop tweeting us. I guess she's got a guest.
Yeah, I was just like, come on, guys. I can't stop tweeting you until you ask me to be on the freaking podcast.
Oh, okay, we did get one tweet that I quite liked. So when I did my, I tweeted about going to see Manchester by the Sea. I said it was good in case the athlete was superb, but it could have hit harder. And then Michael Eddy, at Michael Eddy6, said, not sure how much harder you would have liked it to hit. Pretty devastating stuff, laced with humour. Too much harder, you need a shrink. So I like that one. We had a few tweets about Friday the 13th, because I did a tweet about that, because it was Friday the 13th recently. Did either of you do anything to celebrate that fact?
I saw
No.
La La Land.
Okay. Well, that's something.
I didn't realise it was Friday the 13th.
I watched 3 Friday the 13th films. I wanted to watch all 10, but I got sleepy.
That's a shock.
Well, I did work all day as well, so...
Any emails, Liam?
Not yet. We got emails about Ghost World, but...
okay, so that's, yep.
Save those.
Any Facebook comments?
Nah, mate, no one gives a shit that we're on Facebook.
I cannot find you guys on Facebook.
Oh, I don't even know if we exist on Facebook, really.
Well, no, we do. I just don't know how you would find us.
I have tried to look and I can't find you.
I think it's because we don't use it very much. Like, it's the same as our Twitter with less stuff, because we just post episodes there, I think.
Yeah, we should use it more, really. I don't know how to, link to it, to the page.
It's facebook.com/nerdonnerdpod.
Oh, is that it?
Yep.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm not looking right. I just kept looking on Nerd on Nerd or Nerd on Nerd UK.
I've sent you a link. Maybe that'll help.
Oh, we should have gone Nerd on Nerd UK, because it makes it sound like we're part of some sort of cool, widespread podcast.
Yeah, but then it might also sound like we're piggybacking on another idea.
That's true.
So, success! You know. I found you guys finally.
Hooray!
7 people like you.
Not
it's
bad,
such
right?
a low number.
No, considering I've listened to all of your podcasts and I couldn't find you until today. That's not bad.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. That's what I'm going to tell myself now, Amanda, is that everyone just can't find us.
That's what. I have some questions for you, Jack.
Yes, Liam.
So, firstly, you mentioned a couple of episodes ago that between Christmas and New Year,
yep,
you were going to just learn how to drive.
Oh, I had time off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you were like, I need a week off so I can just do it all in a week, right? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've tried to learn to drive, Liam. What I've done, I have a number for a driving instructor who will give me a discount because I got it through a friend.
Okay.
She has not picked up the phone once when I've tried to ring her.
How many times did you try?
3 total. So, that's including the last 2 weeks. So, what I've said is, me and Liam traditionally watch the Super Bowl together.
Yeah.
So, what I've done, Liam, is I've set myself a time limit because I'm driving down to yours for the Super Bowl.
Right. Here's my concern, okay? If you haven't figured this out by then...
What I'm going to do, Liam, is I've said to my dad, if I can't get this driving instructor, would he be happy to take me out one weekend and just go through it all with me, which I don't want to do.
Yeah, because I think we discussed this before when you said
that
you didn't think that would go well.
Yeah, but I've set myself a time limit, so if I can't sort something out, then I've got to do that.
Okay.
So there you go. So that's sort of sorted.
Okay. Next question, Jack.
Yeah.
Last week, you said that you were going to start The Walking Dead when we were talking privately. How's that going?
Oh, it went really well because what happened was I went, I think season 5 is probably on Netflix. So I opened Netflix.
None of it's on Netflix.
What?
I thought none of it was on Netflix.
No, Walking Dead's definitely on there.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't think
I'll double check. Anyway, what happened, Liam, was I opened Netflix and I saw that Brooklyn Nine-Nine had Series 3 come out. So I watched that instead.
For fuck's sake.
It's really good. If it's any consolation, I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so that
it's one of my favorite comedies. It's a great show.
It's so good. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Good. I'm so happy that you love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Wait, I have a question. Who's your favorite character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Oh.
I'm sorry, Liam.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's gotta be Charles. Or the sergeant. What's the guy that Terry Crews plays?
Abraham? Oh no, never mind. Sorry.
Fuck. Who's yours, Amanda?
We love The Captain. My husband and I that's one of the shows we have to watch together. And
okay.
It's just like the way the way that he can make things hilarious, like by being like the complete straight man and so dry.
Yes. Yeah, no, he is incredible. I don't know, it must be so hard for him to record those scenes.
Oh my god.
Because I imagine I would just be laughing way too much, and he has to be so emotionless.
Yeah. I mean, there are times that we're laughing so hard we have to rewind it because we can't understand what's happening, and then we have to go back because there's just something about like Andre Braugher's delivery that tickles me to death.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So there you go, Liam. That's how The Walking Dead's going. You should watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Do you want a DVD update?
Yes, Liam. What do we know what the number is? It was in the thousands.
You were gonna tell me what the number was because you were gonna keep track of it.
I can't remember.
Right. It was 1,100 and something, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I had a really productive week actually, where I watched 9 films and I only bought one.
Wow.
So were there no deals?
Nothing good, to be honest. Nothing good. You know, once you find out what that number is, you can now knock 8 off of it.
I will, buddy. I'll knock 8 off of your number.
And that doesn't include my 2 cinema trips. So
no, well, yeah, they don't count.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not about the cinema.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm not watching things like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and stuff, because I'm watching all the movies.
Got you.
Yeah. Culture swap.
Culture swap? Swap my culture. Oh god, we both did both.
Alright, Amanda, let's hear what we were doing and why.
Okay, we were reading Ghost World, the graphic novel by Daniel Clowes. I can't pronounce his last name. Clowes, whatever the fuck it is. And then...
Yep.
And then also watching the movie Ghost World that was based on the graphic novel. And I suggested this because you guys had asked me to be on the podcast. And I had heard Liam mention that he wanted to read this at one point on the podcast. And I read this for a graphic narrative class last year and did I led a whole class discussion on it.
Ooh,
fair
so
enough.
You're going to know a lot about this.
I mean, I'm not like an expert, but I know a fair amount. And I also like used some clips from the film because we didn't watch the movie for the class, but I love the movie, and I saw the movie years before I ever read the graphic novel.
Yeah.
And
Right, that's kind of perfect, because my big concern with this was I wasn't sure how I was going to talk about the graphic novel without comparing it to the film, because I love the film so much that when I was reading it, like, anything about it that I didn't like in my head I was like, well, the reason why I didn't like it is because the film did either it better or it was missing in the film.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to hear like more about the comic itself separate from the film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the first time I read this, I had to definitely go like, okay, stop thinking about the movie and focus on the comic. I mean, because I was reading it for a class where we were reading comics. So
Yeah.
You know, and I had to analyze it in like a very academic, like breaking down panel by panel in some places. But one of the things, because Liam, you had seen the movie, and Jack, were you familiar with what this was at all?
No, I literally went in totally blind.
Okay. Well, here's one of the things that I was thinking about when I was rereading this again this morning. And just so it was, I wanted it to be fresh in my mind when we were discussing it. So I woke up early and reread it. And I don't know if you noticed, I mean, the coloring of it, it's very, I don't know, just sort of like that greenish blue color throughout.
Yeah.
So the author did that on purpose so that it looked like the light that comes from a television into like reflecting on your face when you're watching it.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's why it's like that tone. And I feel like that kind of, I don't know, that kind of helps you understand like where he's coming from, of like the sort of like malaise that's through the whole book.
That makes sense. I can see that now. Because there's a lot of bits where, not that TV's like the central point of a scene, but there'll be bits where they're, you know, the discussion they're having around the points they're making are about like a TV show that they're watching and stuff like that, like the Terrible Comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially like the first like 2 stories in it, like seems to be a lot of scenes around TVs, and it sort of tapers off more towards the end, I'd say.
Well, there's one of the last stories in the graphic novel when they're having their argument and Becky's watching the TV, but it's like white noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that, I think it's also to kind of make a statement about the U.S. and how the TV is just always on and always there somewhere in the background.
Yeah.
But, well, what did you guys think? Because I really love this, but I know, like, having read this with a class and presented it, like, a discussion, and I was, like, 10 years older than most of the people in that class. And
okay.
so, you know, I'm on the other side of having just, you know, not having just graduated high school. And so, like, I don't know, the kids, to sound like a granny, they seem to, like, really not like Enid and not get her. Yeah, like, some of them are just like, oh, she's so annoying. Like, really? Because she just seems like a 19-year-old to me.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I wasn't... Again, I don't know if it's, like, the film that's affecting my judgment on this, but I much preferred Rebecca to Enid as a character.
In both the film and the book, or...?
Yeah, so that used to be very different when I was younger. I was all about Enid in the film, but in both the kind of recent watch of the film I did, and when I was reading the book, I definitely found Enid very, very different in the book, I guess. She seems in the book she seems a lot more forward thinking, like about her future and stuff. But I still, I don't know if it's like a teenagey thing. But it's one of those things where it's like she's trying so hard to present herself in a certain way, but there's like little glimpses that that's not who she necessarily wants to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's that she's trying to, in a way, like, be counterculture and not truly like anything.
Yeah.
I mean, as some people would say, like, the ultimate hipster. Like, she's too cool for all of this, but you can tell she actually does like some of these things, but she doesn't want to let on to that.
Yeah. Like, her sort of relationship with Josh kind of highlights that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and then there's also the bit with the, where she wants to find an old record that she used to listen to.
Yeah.
Which her dad then finds for her, and, like, that whole scene, or that whole story, was kind of like, oh, clearly she's doing this whole, like, oh, fuck everyone, and then it's like, I want that song again, and then she's really sad and just listens to that music, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the same story where she gets with Josh, and she sort of has a bit of a breakdown with him, where she says that she just totally hates herself.
Oh, that's right, that is that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you guys need to do a spoiler thing?
Oh, yeah, we probably should, yeah.
So, there's going to be spoilers. There's already been spoilers, and there's going to be more.
Been spoilers. So if you're annoyed at us, we apologise.
But equally, like, this is Culture Swap, right? Like, if you've listened to it before, you'll know this is what we do. And if you're a first-time listener, we're sorry.
Hey, if it's anybody who listens to my podcast, they know I'm really bad at, I can't do things without spoilers. So
yeah, it's really hard to talk about stuff without spoiling it. I keep saying things when I'm reviewing stuff.
Okay, so back to Ghost World.
Yes, back to Ghost
with
World.
With all our spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, I love the scene where she goes to Josh and she has the breakdown. Because it's, like, one of the only times she's fully vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did have a question about that scene.
Yes.
So, they sort of make out, and she sort of implies that she wants to have sex. And then she has the breakdown, right?
Yeah.
And then, I'm pretty sure, later on, she's talking to, I think, Rebecca, and she mentions that they had, like, a blowjob.
No. Rebecca says to her, and then you blew him or something. I don't think she actually did.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, is it deliberately left unclear, or were we supposed to assume that happened?
I don't think it went beyond making out and maybe, like, heavy petting. I think that's more Rebecca sort of lashing out because clearly she likes Josh too.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like her way of, like, well, I don't know, passive aggressive, sort of aggressively, openly, like, mocking Enid.
Okay.
That confused me as well. This whole thing's just going to be us being like, Amanda, help us. We don't understand. So, because after that happens, then Rebecca goes to Josh's.
Yeah.
And then from then on, Rebecca and Josh are like a thing. And Enid seems okay with it. And I was very confused by that.
Well, I don't know that Enid is okay with it as much as that's just sort of like she's resigned to it. And I think that's got to have a big part of her like leaving on the bus at the end.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I like that ending in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't want to keep comparing them, so I have to be careful. But I was curious reading it if they would do the same ending, and I was pleased that they did, because I feel like it is a very powerful way of ending that story. But in a way where it's like you're not really sure by the end like what she's actually learned, because she seems to just kind of like that idea of I'm just going to abandon everything and start kind of new does seem quite like not necessarily immature, but like running away from your problems.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking that correctly to my class. Like there was also some discussion about where is she even going? Like this is supposedly the bus that doesn't run anymore. So is she really on the bus? Did she die?
Yeah.
Like there's kind of, it could be an implication because even with the title, like Ghost World, and she leaves on this bus. Is she really going on a bus with a tiny hat box, or is she dead?
Yeah, because I had that.
Oh.
I know Liam was saying, let's avoid comparing, but fuck it, I'm a co-host too, and I can do whatever the hell I want. So I, like, in the film, I had that at the end where I was like, wait, is it all that this is like purgatory and you leave when you learn a lesson or something? Whereas in the graphic novel, I didn't have that till, like, that final scene. I was like, oh, maybe it's different here. And then that whole, like, the last 2 pages, or more maybe, where, like, someone spray paints Ghost World, and she chases them, and they sort of disappear down an alleyway, and then suddenly she's on a bus, and I was like, wait, what's happening here? Is it ghosts?
Well, I think the Ghost World graffiti, I mean, it's actually, like, spread all throughout the whole text.
Yes, yeah.
And so I think because there's also, like, the snapshot that when she and Becky are looking at the photo album of, like...
Yeah, and it's on her garage.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's that there's just some person who likes to, like, this is their tag, or if it's something more metaphysical. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I always, like, interpreted the title as being, again, this is more drawn from the film than the book, as being how they both felt. Like, they both felt like outsiders. So they felt like they were just sort of traversing life as ghosts because they weren't really enjoying anything or having a lot of, like, I guess, meaningful interactions with other people.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, that's how I've always had interpreted Ghost World, not as being supernatural in any way. But I can see how it can be interpreted as, like, a purgatory because they are so withdrawn from the rest of the world.
Yeah. Another question.
Mm-hmm.
Is the last 2 pages, is there, like, a time jump between the stuff that came before that and those? Because her hair looks a little bit different, and then there's that scene where I'm assuming it's Rebecca she sees, who also is, like, wearing glasses and has different hair, but I might be wrong. And she says, "You've grown into a very beautiful young woman."
Yes. That's one thing I remember discussing, like, because if you look, I have the book out in front of me because
Yeah, same.
I'm a...
Yep, I'm
Okay,
getting
good,
it out now.
I'm a literature major, so that's what I do. But, like, the first panel on the second to last page, like, she's going past a school and you can see, like, the bare leaves on the tree. So that makes me think it's at least fall. Because also, like, when she's talking to Bob Skeeches, which I just love that name, but when she's talking to him on the beach, like, there's this sense that it's, like, fall or winter. Like, they're all wearing coats and they're bundled up and hats and things. So
Yeah, and it looks windy.
Yeah. So I always took that as maybe it's been a few months, maybe not, like, a huge jump in time, like, maybe not years.
Okay.
But, I mean, it could also be, because it's a completely different outfit, you could almost look at it as maybe she's gone off and she's come back and seen her town and she's leaving again.
Yeah. Because, that is supposed to be Rebecca she's seeing, isn't it?
Yes.
in the diner.
Mm-hmm.
Because she does look very different to how we've seen her throughout the rest of the book.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I didn't notice what you're saying until literally you've pointed it out to me. But she does look, to me, she looks a lot older in those last pages, and I hadn't noticed that.
like,
So I think there might be a time jump. But then, yeah, I have no idea.
yeah, I mean, I think there is some sort of time jump. It's just whether it's a handful of months or a handful of years
Yeah.
is up for interpretation.
Yeah.
And
'Cause I guess then that almost, like, thinking about it, it almost lessens the impact of her just getting on a bus and disappearing. If it was years, it's like, because it is, you know, was she just in this town for years, or did she kind of go off somewhere and then come back?
yeah, I like to think that it's only maybe a couple of months or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you can make the argument for either one of those.
Yeah. So another kind of question going way back earlier in the book is that, I don't know if this is just me, but there seems to be, like, only very briefly hinted at, but some sort of sexual tension between the two. And I don't know if that's just how, like, teenage girls are around each other, or if that's very deliberate.
I think it's more that's just how teenage girls are together. Like,
Okay.
For me, even as an adult woman, like, if I'm going to see a movie with a female friend, like, if it gets to a tense spot or something, like, if we're close friends, I'll grab her hand and hold it.
Yeah.
And especially teenage girls, there's something about, like, sitting around together with your legs over each other, or, you know, hanging out on the couch. Like, to me, it's much more of, like, a teenage girl thing. Because I also wondered, like, if what you would think about when Enid is talking on the phone with Becky and telling how she told somebody, like, the story of losing her virginity, and she's on the phone with Becky, but she's also, like, taking off her clothes and looking at her boobs in the mirror and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know, because the author's a man, but that's also, like, if you're just on the phone with your best friend, you're walking around the house, like, and doing your own thing.
That bit, I didn't kind of think anything sexual. I'm trying to find the bit that kind of got me on this path of thinking, because it's when they're sat together on a bench holding hands.
Yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
same.
Yeah, there's
It's after
something...
they've seen the Satanist, quote-unquote, Satanist woman buying a movie ticket by herself.
Yeah, that's right. Because there was another bit where, I think earlier on, Enid has kind of made some sort of, like lesbian kind of comment or something, but, like, really offhanded throwaway. And then later on, Rebecca kind of makes another comment along those lines, and Enid reacts to it.
There's one later on where Rebecca's, like, saying something about how she can't find a guy or something, or no guys like her, and she says, maybe I am a lesbian.
Yeah.
And then Enid's, like, I think slightly shocked, or like, it just says something, and then Rebecca's like, no, you don't have to worry.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's more, I don't think that's, like, the way I sort of took all that stuff is it's more like you said, because they're both outsiders, and, like, they seem like they're the only two people in this novel that have the same sort of outlook on stuff. And I just sort of assumed it was more like, because Enid's having this whole, like, I don't like any men at all, except maybe Josh. And it felt more like it was like them trying to deal with whatever shit they've got going on sexually in their heads. And there's sort of this, I don't know. I don't think either of them were ever into each other.
No, and, like, you know, there's scenes where, like, one has her head on the other, which, again, that just feels very like what friends would do.
Yeah, I think that's a friend thing.
Yeah.
Well, and
although I'm not going to put my head on your chest, Liam.
Why not?
I don't want to.
But it would be so cute.
Oh. Yeah, that could be our new Twitter banner profile picture.
To be fair, that would be hilarious. So maybe we should do that.
You should probably do that.
Yeah.
And maybe Kat can be in the background, just, like, staring at you weirdo.
Just looking annoyed. No, we'll make her take the picture.
I will say, like, from a female standpoint, like, the thing about where they're like, ugh, you know, no guy will like me, maybe I'm a lesbian. I had friends in college, like, I had one particular friend who, whenever either one of us would have, like, an issue with a guy, she'd be like, maybe I'm a lesbian now, or maybe you should be a lesbian now. And then she'd be like, Ah, crap, never mind. I thought about vaginas. I can't do it.
Fair enough. So that's just a normal thing.
Yeah, it's a normal thing. It's like, fine, I'm going to give up. Just kidding. I don't like those. So I'm going to stick with the penis. But
Sorry, I got distracted thinking about lesbians at college.
Jesus Christ.
are you going to read more comics with lesbian sex stories?
I mean, funny you should say that, because on our to-read list there is an amazing one, but Jack keeps putting it off. So, anything else that you want to say about the comic before we move on to the film?
Nothing I can think of?
No, because I could talk about this for, like, ever. And
I mean, that's okay, because I'm finding it really interesting.
Well, I guess one of the themes that I think throughout the book is this sort of both of them fighting the urge to grow up.
Yeah.
And also, like, it feels very true to that time, like, where you're, like, 18 or 19, and you're going from being at home, or having been in high school, and then, like, that transition to college, and starting to realize that maybe you're growing away from these people that you grew up with, and maybe your bond with them is more this shared history versus actual things that are in common.
Yeah.
Like, just this sort of, and you can tell, like, they're both sad about it. Like, even when Rebecca is, like, with her grandma, with her head on her grandma's lap, and you can tell, like, they're both sort of mourning this loss of their friend that's still technically there, but they can tell they're growing apart. And
Yeah, do they have a conversation that is effectively that, isn't it? They sort of say, maybe we aren't friends, or something like that.
Yeah.
When they're driving in the hearse.
yes, I love that she gets a hearse, and it makes me want to, like, ask Enid, are you a fan of Harold and Maude? If you're familiar with that movie at all, but
I am. I don't think Jack is.
No.
It's a shame. It's a good film, Jack.
I'm sorry.
That's alright. You've got time.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the graphic novel.
Same. Okay, we'll circle back to the graphic novel, but then if we talk about the film and compare the two, I probably will have a lot more to say.
okay.
So, because I think you watched the film first as well, didn't you, Jack?
Yeah, because I got confused about what.
Yeah, so we all watched the film before reading the graphic novel, which, like, I was curious if someone reads the graphic novel first and then watches the film, if it affects the way they view it.
I would.
Yeah, well, I was really excited because I thought I'd be doing it the opposite way to what you two had done. So I was like, oh, this will be good.
Yeah, and you didn't.
Whoops.
That's alright though. So, the first time I saw the film, probably about 10 years ago now, it was on TV late at night. Started watching it and I just couldn't turn it off. Like, I had school the next day. It was like 1 a.m. and it had just started, and there was I had to watch it, and it was so good. But then I've noticed, as I've watched it growing up, like, I used to have a huge crush on Thora Birch, and I thought she was amazing in the film, like the character of Enid. Mm-hmm. But then when I, like, more recently rewatched it, I was like, actually, she's kind of not. Like, it feels like an anti-coming-of-age film, where it feels like Enid's the main character, but she doesn't really progress throughout the film. She just stays the same, and all of the kind of secondary characters around her have their own arcs and their own progressions. And there's times where she almost feels like she's trying to actively hold them back, which felt very different to the book.
But she does, I don't know, because in the film, like, when you look at how they start, I know, like, Becky clearly grows up faster than Enid does. But if you look at Enid at the start of the film, where she's, like, suggesting they, call, I can't remember who Steve Buscemi plays, the character.
Seymour.
Sorry, Seymour, yep. When she's like, because she's the one that's like, oh yeah, we should call him, and she's the one that actually does the call and is being a dick. And then later on, she clearly feels fucking terrible about doing that. And I don't know, it definitely felt like she grew, because she doesn't want to do the mean stuff anymore. Even though she's still trying to be, counterculture, she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be a dick about it.
No, I don't know if I agree with that, though, because then later on, like, again, and this is also in the book, she leaves that note at Josh's place where it's like, we came over to fuck you, but you weren't in, therefore you were gay.
Yeah, but that's not as I'm talking about way later on, like, because the we wanted to fuck you, Josh thing, that's not mean.
I mean, it is, considering, like, his parents could have found that.
Liam, I don't think it's as mean as calling a guy who's clearly got depression and saying, oh, hey, I'm that girl that you really wanted to fall in love with, and I'm going to fall in love with you. I think that might be meaner.
I didn't realise we were competing over which bit was meanest.
No, I'm just saying that they can still have evolved. Like, you're a dick to me all the time, Liam, but I think you're a nice person, maybe.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there, really.
I also don't think that Josh lives with his parents.
Yeah, I mean, that felt more like the case in the book than in the film. The film, you don't really see a lot of his life, I guess, whereas in the book, I think there's a scene where they're over at his watching TV.
Yeah, like, I get the sense that maybe he was, like, a year older than them, since they've just graduated high school in the film, and you don't see him at the weird graduation after party that has never happened of any graduation that I know of. So I did wonder, like, do you think that's what happens at, like, U.S. graduations, that there's, like, a dinner afterwards with everyone from the class? Because it's not. That's not what happens. People have their own individual graduation parties and only invite the people that they like.
Yeah, you don't turn up to a place where everyone hates each other.
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
I quite like that scene, though, where I think it's Enid who's talking about how sad it is, like, when you actually think about the fact that they're probably not going to see a lot of these people again.
Oh.
How it's actually sad.
Yeah, I think that is a great scene. And I think there is a truth to that. But, I mean, realistically, that happens, like, at graduation, not at a sad party.
But, okay.
But, yeah, I got the sense that, like, Josh was maybe a year older and already had his own apartment or something.
Okay. Yeah, I think that definitely comes across more in the book than the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd assumed that from the film. Not the year older, but I definitely assumed... No, I'm just saying...
Jack's so clever with his assumptions.
I like that when Liam makes a counterpoint to anything I believe, he's like, it's alright if we have different views, don't worry about it. But the moment I have a different view, Liam's like, oh, good job, Jack.
Yeah.
Whatever, Liam.
Because my views tend to not be nonsensical.
Whatever.
Go on, Jack, carry on with your point you were making.
No, fuck you.
Well, there's no need for that. Come on,
I'm being very Ghost Worldy, Liam. Fuck you.
Right, okay. Do you also hate yourself?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so one thing, I guess probably the biggest difference between the film and the book is the character of Seymour, who barely seen in the book. I don't think he's even given a name, or maybe a different name.
Well, I think he's an amalgamation of Bob Skeeches and the guy that they call up on the blind date. And the film was partly written by the author, Daniel Close, so I think he wanted to flesh out that character more for the film.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because he's like he's one of the main focuses of the film.
Yes.
Like, other than the two girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do quite like his kind of story arc throughout the film, where it's like he's kind of taken advantage of, and he's so helpless that he just kind of goes along with it, not really fully knowing why, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone tells him sort of what to do, and he'll do, like, when he meets the girl finally, and she's like, well, you can't keep... Or she doesn't say it, but he's like, I can't speak to you anymore, Enid, because how do I explain it?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, maybe Enid loves me, and maybe I should leave my new girlfriend. I felt bad for him.
So, okay, what did we... Like, Jack, for example, what did you think of the film?
I thought the film was good. I preferred it to the graphic novel, but only slightly.
Okay. And Amanda?
Well, similar to you, Liam, the first time I saw this movie was several years ago, and again, I think I ran across it late at night on, like, a cable channel.
Yeah.
And once I checked that it was a cable channel that wouldn't cut out curse words, then I was like, record. I'm going to watch it. And I really just was struck by the film. And I also, I mean, much as I do enjoy the graphic novel, I do like the film a bit more. And I think part of that is because of the character of Seymour.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I love Steve Buscemi anyway, but there's just something about his character in this. And then I always forget, like, some of the support. Like, I always forget David Cross is in this movie until he pops up at the
Yeah.
weird record party, and I'm like, oh, there's
Yeah.
David Cross.
Oh, but I love him in it as well, though, just trying to hit on Rebecca.
Uh-huh. It's not going well for him, and he just keeps trying.
No. Also, the dude who appeared in like a couple of Red Hot Chili Pepper music videos as the guy that comes into the shop topless.
Oh, the one with the
like
nunchucks?
hillbilly dude.
Yeah. Yeah, like the first time I ever saw him, I think he was in, I can't remember what song it was for, but he's definitely in a Red Hot Chili Pepper video song video where he's trying to like get into a gig of theirs. He's trying to like climb a fence and stuff.
I'll
just be quiet.
No, I just don't know which Red Hot Chili Peppers videos those are.
Dave Sheridan is the guy. He's in the music video for By the Way and Universally Speaking.
Okay.
So yeah, he is the guy that plays Doug.
Yeah, he looks
Very
way
goodly.
more handsome in his IMDb picture than he does in a mullet with no shirt and a white beater.
Yeah, but like
tan line.
he looks pretty built. Like he's rocking that 6-pack.
True. He always looks like some character from Reno 911.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I feel like he would fit in that world also.
Yeah, I liked him in this. Don't really know the point of it apart from like some jokes. Like it's a bit funny, but I did like his scenes.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just to sort of add to the whole idea of like bizarre characters in this world. Because there's so many sort of weird, just like side and like tertiary characters in the novel, like in the graphic novel, that I wonder if because the author did write the screenplay was like, yeah, I want some of those in here. So, you know, like throw him in and throw in like the weird classmate who keeps randomly running into them, and even though she looks like she's like a 45-year-old woman.
Yeah. The art teacher is also amazingly weird in the film.
Well, Ileana Douglas is amazingly weird in general.
Yeah. The first time you see her and she's playing that like short film that she's created, just amazing.
Oh Jesus! Honestly, that whole bit with the art class just reminded me so much of doing art in high school because I did it as a GCSE, I think. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I can't remember, but and it was literally. I got good at doing. We used to do artist research where you had to pick an artist and then like write about their work and you know what it means. And I've never understood that with art. I don't get it when people are like, "Oh, they're trying to display this emotion." And I'm like, "No, it's a canvas with a tear in it. Let's be real." And so I got really good at just bullshitting. And the way the art teacher talks in this film, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what artists are doing."
Yeah.
Like when she's looking at people's work and she's like, "Oh, this piece is incredible," and the kid's like, "Oh, it's just from a video game," and she's like, "Oh, I thought it was your dad." I was like, "Oh yeah."
Also, there's a scene later on where they're trying to like make a mold or something of someone's head.
Oh yeah, and he's dying.
Yeah,
I can't breathe.
There's little lines like that I think on my first like viewing I totally missed, and then when I went back, there's just so much more to this film to like pick up on.
Well, and when Enid walks in there, she's also going like, "Well, if this is your first death mask, like,
Yeah.
why are you doing multiple death masks?" Like, I don't get it. Yeah, she's a complete kook, and I love it.
Yeah.
And then, well, also her Bob Balaban as Enid's father, and then Terry Garr as like this weird wet blanket. And every time I see that, I see her pop up, I'm always like, "Oh right, Terry Garr is in this movie." Because I always forget, because I instantly think of Young Frankenstein or Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like, I always forget that she's in this movie.
Who does she play in this movie? I'm blanking.
She plays...
Is she Maxine?
Yeah, the girlfriend of Enid's mom, or Enid's dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I just didn't know the actress's name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, that's Terry Garr, who doesn't do a lot now, but, you know, did a ton of stuff in the 70s.
She does play this, like... She does play this kind of, like, almost like stepmother figure, where she's not necessarily doing anything wrong, but you still have this, like, inkling to not like her.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's like a...
Yeah, well, she seems interested in what Enid's been... She's like, "Oh, I feel like I helped raise you, so I'm really interested in what you've become." And Enid's just like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Also, I loved the stuff with the record in the movie, where she gets the record from Seymour and then just gets obsessed with it and plays it over and over again. Because that definitely is something that I could relate to as a teen. Like when you find a song and then you just have to listen to it constantly.
Yeah. Well, the way
Yeah.
she becomes obsessed with anything like that, like you can tell, like her obsession before that was like Indian music from the 1960s,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and then this is like her new obsession. Is
How did we
blues.
feel? Yeah. How did we feel about the cook's chicken element to it?
Well, I feel like being an American and the current political climate that we have here, it definitely plays differently having watched it earlier today versus the last time I watched it, when nobody thought that we would have a Trump presidency or the issues with racism that we're having in this country. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's what she says, like when she's sort of bullshitting her way through explaining why she brings it to art class. I mean, I think that's true, that people try to brush away the racism that is systemic here in the U.S. And the way that, I don't know, like from somebody who likes art and doesn't try to shy away from the more difficult, like, discussions of it, I'm like, damn it, I wish Enid had been there to, like, shut down all of those, like,
Yeah.
middle class people, like, who are just like, oh, this is offensive. And it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point, is look at these offensive things that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of like whitewashing, isn't it? Where it's like, well, if we just kind of ignore that and we've changed the name a little bit, it's all good.
Well, and also, there are no black people in this movie, which brings up its own issues that it's dealing with that, and there's not really any...
True, but also there's not in the book, is there?
No. Like, at one point, I was actually going to ask this I forgot, in the book, they mention, like, oh, she's a Jap a couple times. Do you know what that stands for?
Yeah, Japanese, right?
No. Jewish...
No?
No, it stands for Jewish American Princess.
What the heck? I didn't know there was... What?
Yeah, that's why I forgot, because I realized that may not be a thing that you are aware of. But that
No, it's not.
that is not she's not using a slang term for a Japanese person.
Yeah, I was very confused by that. I was like, why are they suddenly calling her Japanese?
Yeah.
Okay, this makes more sense now.
Yeah, they're calling them Jewish American princesses.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't know that. Was there another bit where I think Rebecca's referred to as like a wasp or something?
Yes. And
Or did I just imagine that?
yes, do you know what WASP is? It's
No.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Oh.
And is typically...
Learned something today.
Yeah, so I guess those are important terms to know to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, those scenes suddenly make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, so like the waspy thing is normally associated, especially with like blonde, like very Aryan, blonde upper class, and you hear it a lot talking about like high society in like New York City or Boston, on the East Coast in the U.S. And then
Okay.
so like the counterpart to the WASP, and then the Jap is the Jewish American Princess, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Like they're kind of these two sides of like the same idea of a person, like somebody who's very privileged and spoiled, and the idea that sort of like mommy and daddy take care of it all for you.
Okay.
Yay, cultural differences.
Yeah, that's something that, like, I guess didn't really, for me at least, come across that well, not knowing those things.
Yeah, and whereas those are terms I grew up knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, like, one of the things that I thought was an interesting difference between the book and the film was how the kind of catalyst for what causes the argument between Enid and Rebecca, where, like, Rebecca's very much, let's move in together, let's get jobs, whereas in the book, they both seem to kind of come to that conclusion together, that they are kind of drifting apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels more like college, like Enid going to college is the bigger issue in the book, whereas...
Yeah, like it really barely feels like an issue in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the film, Enid sort of for most of the film, Enid doesn't seem like she wants to go. Whereas in the book, it's like she wants to go but hasn't told Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the film, it seems like Enid as a character is less concerned with her future than Enid in the book.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's something, I don't know, to me in the film, like they're growing apart. I don't know, it's more noticeable because I guess Seymour is a factor in there. That Enid is hanging out with Seymour more than she is with Rebecca. And there's, I think, some like jealousy there of, hey, you're going off and doing your own thing and I don't want you to do that. But at the same time, I want you to grow up and do your own thing so we can get an apartment together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that's a big element of like Rebecca's character is very much, let's do this adult thing. And Enid's just like, nah, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we think, is there a message that the writer, like clearly there is, but is it to just grow up or not?
I mean, what do you think it is, Jack?
All the grown-ups in this seem broken. Like, this whole town is mostly made up of broken people who all act weird. Maybe it's just to leave. Maybe we should all just leave, guys.
Yeah, one of the things in the book that I thought was very, I guess, strange was that whole subplot with one of their friends who has the ex-Catholic priest.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the film as well, isn't he? He's the shithead in the film.
Yeah, he's the...
Yeah, but there's nothing about the priest in it, in the film.
No, the priest is totally cut out of the film, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, weird, that one.
Because maybe 2001 they weren't ready to talk about priests and children.
Yeah, I mean, that just felt like a really, again, like being so familiar with the film, reading that in the book, it felt like a really odd inclusion.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I get it, because it's that kid is like, he knows that what the priest is doing is wrong, but he's using it to, I don't know, not get famous, but he's using it as like a way to get exposure almost. Because he's like happy that the priest has been caught doing something wrong and knows it's wrong, but is like, yeah, I'm going to go defend him because then I get on TV.
Well, I think he's supposed to be sort of like the male version of Enid, but showing that whereas Enid does have a conscience and sometimes like feels bad about what she does, like in the book when she leaves the giant tip for Weird Al at the restaurant. And, you know, there's like little touches of things where, okay, she is a human, whereas I forget the character's name, but that guy, you know, he's like, I don't fucking care. Like, yeah, I'll go on TV and defend a child molester. You know, it's, I think what Jack said, like, he wants to be famous, but also it's like he has no conscience. He's just ready to be a full-on asshole all the time.
So what do you think it's all about, Jack?
I don't know. I don't know if I learned anything.
Because to me, it definitely feels like an anti-coming-of-age film, where the main character very deliberately, again, more from the film than the book, main character very deliberately doesn't really... I don't think they really learn a lot. Because I think...
I think is it not, like, the ending, even in the film, is the ending not them sort of accepting that they are becoming adults?
Yeah, but then she just gets on a bus and fucks off.
Yeah, but I think that's her being like, I'm moving on, sort of thing.
See, that's not how I read that as her just being like, I'm running away, basically.
But her in the film, her and Becky are together when that happens, right? Because they're both sitting. Are they both sitting on the bench?
Wait, at the end?
Are they not? Am I remembering that wrong? Shit.
No, they are sitting on the bench when she comes out from like seeing Seymour the last time.
Yeah.
And that's when, you know, Becky's like, oh, I'm going to be late for work. And then it's after that Enid, like,
oh, yeah,
goes and...
I'm getting the two scenes mixed up. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the impression I got is she did just leave without telling anyone, which, again, feels like a very, like, selfish thing to do. Because you think, like, her dad is obviously the sort of parent that cares about her and would worry about her.
Yeah, but I didn't get the impression she's running away, though. I don't think it's like... Like, if she is running away, that's the calmest I've ever seen someone run away from home, just like very casually sit on a bench and wait for a bus.
I don't think it's like a dramatic thing either. I think it's something that is almost like to a degree pre-planned, and that she's like, right, I'm just going to leave and start again, because she mentions it earlier. So I don't think Like, when you say, oh, she's running away, it sounds like they've had a big argument and then she's just running away. Whereas I think it's a very, like, deliberate thing that she's doing there, but it still just feels like she is running away from this life of hers.
Yeah, I think she's trying to fulfill that fantasy of just essentially, like, running away and starting over somewhere else fresh. Because she says that to Seymour when she goes over to his place and they have sex. It's like, let's just leave. I've always wanted to just leave.
Yeah. Do you think
true.
it's she's just so tired of putting on this front and kind of portraying this character that she feels like if she just leaves, she can do a fresh start and be maybe more truthful to who she actually is? Because that comes across more in the book than the film, I think.
Yeah.
But I wonder if she acts the way she does because that's how she thinks people expect her to act.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, because I guess one of the things I like about both the film and the movie is that the ending is sort of left open for the interpretation of, like, the viewer or the reader.
Yeah.
And I like narratives that do that leave it sort of, like, up to you.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I think that's one of the reasons why I liked the film so much, was because it doesn't really have a sense of closure to it in the kind of more traditional, typical, we're all happy at the end. It is a very, like, melancholic ending, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, did we all preferred marginally, I mean, for me it was a bit more than marginally, but the film to the book. Is there anything that you think the book did better than the film?
I think in some ways the book does a slightly better job at showing how close Rebecca and Enid are early on. Like, there's just something about, and I just think it's kind of how the book progresses. You see this, like, closeness, maybe a little bit more, like, how much they're hanging out together. But at the same time, also, I don't know. Like, at the same time, it's also, like, Enid is very much a little more domineering in the book.
Yeah. I feel like, while I think Enid is definitely, like, the main character in both, I think we see more of Rebecca in the book than we do in the film. Like, we see things more from her point of view better, I think.
Yeah.
Although one of my favourite scenes is when they have the apartment and she's trying to, like, be really amped up and excited about it, and she's showing Enid the fold-out ironing board.
Uh-huh.
I love that scene.
Yeah, there's something, like, adorable yet tragic about that scene.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's like it's trying to kind of be excited about growing up, which is kind of an impossible thing.
Uh-huh. Because being an adult sort of sucks.
Yeah, like, once you hit, like, the drinking age, and that age where you can pretty much do whatever you want, then you just want to stop. Like, everything else is just taxes and bills and health problems and then death.
Yeah. Well, and it's sort of like they're fighting against it, in a way. Like, they're definitely not innocent, but their biggest, like, things that they're dealing with is like, oh man, those people that might be Satanists, let's follow them in the grocery store.
Yeah, and laugh at what they're buying.
Yeah.
So, this is something else that I think is touched on more in the book than the film. It seems to be implied that the Satanists break up.
Yeah.
What, like, I don't know if it came up when you were leading the discussion, but is that kind of about anything?
That did not come up in the discussion. I don't know if it's more of, like, their realization that to them, like, them as in Enid and Rebecca had this sort of fantasy about who those people were. And then to see it crushed that they're just normal people and that, you know, he clearly cheated on her and took off to Florida. Like,
yeah,
I think it's a reminder of, oh, we live in the real world, and even if we want to believe these crazy things about people, they're just people, and that means we're just people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more I feel like this story is all about how you project yourself and then how you see others, and how you kind of, like, I feel like Enid and Rebecca both take things at face value with other people and don't necessarily think to, like, look much deeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you remember your point you wanted to make, Jack?
No.
Okay. You sound so glum.
Yeah, because I remember it being a good point.
Aww.
Let's all pretend I did a really good point, and we all thought it was very impressive.
That was amazing.
Well done, Jack.
Thanks, guys.
You've made me rethink my stance on this entire thing.
I do think Jackie made a point when Liam was asking you about like what is this about? You said like all these people are broken. I kind of think that serves the point. It's like people are broken.
Yeah. It's like it's a weird portrayal of people in a film and a book, like graphic novel, because usually there's like the sensible adult, and the only one I think the only adult I can think of especially in the graphic novel that's like anywhere near to not being that is her dad, and he clearly has something wrong because he's going back with this woman.
What about Josh?
I don't know if Josh is broken because he lets everyone push him around.
Okay.
Like they still have the scene where they force him to drive them.
Yeah.
To wherever and stuff like.
Well, and he doesn't make the choice between Rebecca and Enid. He again lets them push.
Yeah. They both just go. Enid's like, "I love you," and he's like, "Oh, I love you too." And then Rebecca's like, "Hey, we should have sex now."
Well, and even Rebecca's like, "Damn it, I think he likes Enid better than me," but he's such a pushover that he's not going to do anything about it.
But yeah, I thought that Scarlett Johansson was good in this, like in a very like understated performance, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of ScarJo apart from the famous stuff that she does now, but this character that she plays feels very different.
Have you ever seen Lost in Translation?
Have I, Liam? I don't know.
It's got Bill Murray in it.
Maybe not.
I would suggest you do.
I should watch that movie.
Have you not seen it?
Well, okay. I sort of saw it in college when I was making out with a guy in a dorm room. So I don't think that counts because we weren't really watching the movie. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So I've seen part of Lost in Translation.
You've sort of seen it.
It doesn't really count. I was 18 and young and dumb, so.
I mean, we've all had that sort of experience, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Like, I once invited someone over and wanted to make out with them, but I thought the right film to put on would be The Evil Dead. So that was a weird whole afternoon, basically.
Yep. That's a different... Yeah, Lost in Translation, at least for me, being like a girl that was obsessed with film, and this guy's like, "Oh, come to my dorm room and watch Lost in Translation." I was like, okay, that sounds great.
This was before the days of Netflix and chill, wasn't it? That'd be very different.
Oh, yes. To date myself, that was 2004. Long before Netflix and chill was a thing. It was like, come over to my dorm room and watch an indie movie. On DVD.
I mean, whatever works.
Possibly VHS.
And Jack, when was the last time you sort of like stopped paying attention to a film to take care of other matters?
I think at uni I made out with a girl to Indiana Jones, possibly. I was trying to remember what film it was. I know there was a film on.
Yeah,
but I was very panicky about where
this.
my hand should be, which was by my side, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Please help.
Oh, poor Jack. You need a girl.
Yep, I know.
I have single friends, but they live far away.
We have tried, haven't we, Jack?
I don't want your help, Liam.
Also, saying it like that sounds like me and you have tried something that didn't work well.
Hey, that would fit with the fan fiction I wrote.
That's
true.
That's very true. I'm sure, Jack, the right person is out there, and maybe...
How has it turned back to this again?
Maybe they're listening right now, and if you think you're that lucky girl, just pop us an email, really.
Good.
There'll be details on how to
Fantastic.
do that at the end of the show.
What do we rate Ghost World?
Alright, film or book?
The book was the main focus, so let's do the book first.
Okay.
Who do you want to start?
I don't know.
Amanda,
Do you want to go first, Amanda?
Yeah, sure.
You
Since I suggested it, I would put Ghost World, the book, at a 4 out of 5.
Okay, I'll see that.
Like, I could
Jack?
see issues with it, but I really, really like it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I'd give it a 3.5.
Fucking
Just
hell,
because-
guess what, Jack?
Do we agree, Liam?
We've agreed again.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So go on, why 3.5?
Because I enjoyed it, but there were a couple of bits in there where I started to not like lose interest, but some of the stories I was like, there were pages where I was like, I don't really get why I'm here. That makes it sound a lot worse than what I mean, but I'm very bad at explaining what I'm thinking.
Like, do you mean like story-wise? Like, I don't get what this is telling me about the story.
Yeah. Like, there's obviously stuff that's forwarding the story, and then you get to a couple of pages where I'm like, this isn't forwarding anything for me. I don't know. It sounds a lot more negative than what I mean. What did you give it, Liam? 3.5. Yeah.
3.5. And sort of, again, I think it's just because I really struggled to separate my love for the film with the book. So while I liked the book, and I did appreciate some of the things it did differently, there was other things like where I just kind of felt like either the film did it better, and I was like, well, I wish the book had that idea or gone down that road. And then I think when the book was doing things different, it was kind of hit and miss to me. Like when the book kind of did its own thing, like the stuff with the child molesting priest, that to me just felt really like, it kind of felt like it was put in there for the sake of shocking.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah. There was just a couple of things where I felt like the film, what the film did well was not only kind of dig down to the actual point of the book and what the book was trying to get across, but then also created a lot of stuff to support that point, that it drew from either like really small moments in the film that it then expanded on, or like entirely created for the film. So the book, therefore, like in comparison, was still fine, but just I couldn't help but be a little disappointed.
I can understand that when you were coming from being such a big fan of the film. I think part of why I enjoy the book so much is because I did have to like really dive into it and lead a discussion on it for like well over an hour in a class. So
yeah,
I really focused
on...
And
I think what I do like is, I like that there is so much to talk about within it. Like, we've just had however long of a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So the film?
Do you want me to go to first
Amanda,
again?
do you want to go first?
The film, I guess I'll do 4.5 out of 5. Because like I said, I like it a little bit better than the book.
Yeah.
And I love just sort of like the oddities of it. Even though it's not a perfect film, you know, there are things like the nunchuck shirtless guy that's sort of like, why are you here? But
yeah,
still really enjoyable, and one that I'm happy to watch repeatedly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I there's a sort of pattern that I'm noticing, because yours has gone up by 0.5 for the film, and I give the film a 4, which is 0.5 up from my graphic novel rating.
Yeah, we disagree here now, Jack.
Oh, is yours going to be like 5?
No, 4.5 for the film. I do find I found my view of the film has changed as I've got older, but I'm at the stage now where I find Enid like a little annoying and hard to like in places.
Yeah, well, as you've sort of grown into a little old man, you've started to really hate classic teenagers.
Yeah, maybe. We've had some correspondence about Ghost World, which I totally forgot about.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, friend of the show, Kat Fyson, she emailed us. She said, I think the film is pretty good. It's quirky, for lack of a better word. ScarJo is my highlight, but Thora Birch is good too, even though her character annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, well, Kat is a little old lady, so that makes sense.
She's not going to like that you said that. And then,
I know.
Other friend of the show, Mr. Mark Dawes, he said, he kind of posed a question for us to consider. He said, do you think the film would have been more interesting if it followed a more empathetic and likeable character, such as Scarlett Johansson's or Steve Buscemi's?
No, I think it would have been less interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been less interesting because I think part of the point is that she is unlikable.
Yeah, I think if you'd have gone down that road, you'd have had more of a like protagonist-antagonist like traditional thing. Like, because I think seeing her from someone else's eyes would not have gone well for her.
No. Well, and I think in somebody else's hands, like, they could have changed, like, a different director, or if they'd gotten somebody else to write the script, it could have gone that way. But then I also think it could have gotten into, like, kind of schmaltzy stuff.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you think about it, just looking at her character through, like, Rebecca's eyes, Rebecca's like, this person has said to me, we'll move in together, I'll get a job. I've gone and got a job. I've found an apartment. I've done all this stuff. They're just fucking around doing whatever the hell they want and aren't really taking it seriously. So that would be annoying. And then if you looked at her through Steve Buscemi's eyes, it's like, well, I'm this lonely dude. There's this, like, teenage girl with cracking pair of tits who's throwing herself at me. Of course I'm gonna, do the thing.
And she also tells him that she's gonna move in with him.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, and I think particularly through his eyes, she comes across as horrible.
Yeah, and he's the one that's the least upset with her.
Yeah.
But he also ends up in therapy and living with his mom.
That's true. He doesn't have a great ending, as in happy.
Do you think the scene where he's in the hospital and she comes and kind of explains herself, do you think that scene does enough to redeem her?
I don't think the point of it is to redeem her. I think it's her realising that she's been a dick. Like, I don't think the point is to be like, oh, everything she's done's forgiven. I think it's more like she realises that she can't keep, like, fucking with his emotions. And then he forgives her. But it's not like a, one for one, everything's fine now.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I like that scene. I like when she's like, you're my hero. And how she's drawn all of these, cartoons of him. But, yeah, I don't know if it's really a redemption fully. Because, like, she clearly realizes that she's been a dick. But at the same time, I think we go back to, I don't know that she's fully learned a quote-unquote lesson. Other than she needs to go off and do her own thing. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it kind of redeemed. I think it's her attempt at redemption. Like, I think from her perspective, she realizes she's kind of fucked up, and this is her trying to make amends. But the fact that she doesn't like follow it through and then just leaves, to me, is the indication that she hasn't really learned from it. Because I feel like the kind of better thing to do would have been to kind of like be his friend and support him. And the fact that she just fucks off and he kind of ends up.
Yeah, but she is. You've got to remember that she's, like, meant to have just come out of high school.
I get
like,
that.
That would be a shit lesson for, like, teenagers. Like, yeah, you're about to start your real life as an adult, but if you've accidentally done anything, make sure that you stay and become friends with the crazy people.
Yeah, I get that. And I think it's definitely an attempt at redemption. I just don't think it's enough, considering what she's put him through.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but if it were a full-on redemption, again, I think it wouldn't be the same film, and I don't know that I would like it as much.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for recommending that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it and didn't hate it.
I mean, it's always 50-50 with us, isn't it?
Well, I knew that you liked the film, Liam, but I know that the book is different, so I was like, oh, they could hate this.
Yeah, and I was worried because I knew that there wouldn't be like aliens and shit in it for Jack.
I don't know where this has come from, but this assumption that's all I like.
That you just like weird sci-fi shit.
I do like weird sci-fi shit, but I also like normal things. This isn't particularly normal. I realised that I wasn't really defending myself there, but...
That's fair. Amanda, where can people find you on the internets?
Oh, yes. Well, on Twitter, I am at Manda Ailey, which is MandaAiley. And I also have my own podcast, The Oscars Are My Super Bowl, which you can find on Facebook. And on Twitter, it is at Oscars, letter R, My Super Bowl with no vowels.
And it's worth listening to. Both me and Jack have listened, and we can, vouch that it's good.
Aw, thanks, guys. Yeah, and the new episodes of that come out on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
And if we're really good, we might get to guest on that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We did discuss a potential idea for a film we could do, but we weren't sure if you'd seen it.
What movie?
Go on, Jack.
Buckaroo Banzai?
I've not seen Buckaroo Banzai.
That could be an option then.
We should do that.
Do you want to give the full title, Jack?
Oh, fuck, I can't remember the full title.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. So I think that's what we're currently considering, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to be honest, we're probably going to stick with that, because once we've made a decision, we don't like to change it.
Yeah, that's what people say about me and Liam. We stick to our guns.
Yeah. They say that, and they also say quite good, surprisingly good looking. I think they say.
I've heard that.
Yeah, on the grapevine.
Yeah.
I tend to hear it like as I walk past people. I hear them whispering like behind my back. It's like, it's okay, guys. You can tell me.
Well, before you get too self-aggrandizing, Liam,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do the where people could message us.
yeah. There's one thing that I've realised that we haven't discussed yet, Jack.
Oh shit! What we're doing next time, Liam? What are we doing next time?
Next time, Jack, in honour of it coming back after I think a 25-year break later this year, we are going to do the first 3 episodes of season 1 of Twin Peaks.
Cool.
Have you seen any of them before?
Nope, never.
I watched the pilot like late last year, and kind of then got distracted with other things. So hopefully, the rest will be good enough to keep my attention this time.
Yep, let's hope so.
Have you seen Twin Peaks at all, Amanda?
I have not, but I've been wanting to, and my husband really likes the show, so this will be an opportunity for me to watch that, and maybe one of the only chances I'll have in the next few months to watch something other than films.
Yeah. Lot of films.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jack, where can people find us if they wanted to?
If people want, they can tweet us at nerdonnerd, or they can email us at nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com. You can also find our Facebook page at facebook.com/nerdonnerdpod, because we've just found that out. Or you can go and watch our YouTube videos, which are, good. And you can do that by maybe searching Nerd on Nerd, but if that doesn't find us, you can search Nerd on Nerd Episode 1 Fleshlight.
And if they enjoyed the show, what could they do to kind of show that, apart from obviously tweeting us nice things?
You could go on iTunes and you could give us a little rating, and we'll accept anything. I mean, I say we'll accept. We can't stop you giving us 1 star, but we would be sad.
We'd probably have a go on the next episode if you did that.
Well,
I would.
Fair enough.
I feel like it's been a while since I've actually had a go at our audience for not tweeting us more. And
that's true. Well, that's because you've now decided that the audience loves you, so you're being very careful not to lose them again.
Yeah, but I'm getting annoyed again, Jack, because I was hoping that we'd get some tweets and stuff coming in about Ghost World, and they didn't. And it's like, come on, guys. I know there's members of our audience that have watched Ghost World and possibly read it. Where are they at?
Jesus. Okay.
I'm on the podcast.
That's true. And
yeah.
Thanks for being here, Amanda. We have appreciated
thanks, Amanda.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Anytime.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.